Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and we're in luck because we're in the Ag Engineering Department, and we have A.J. Sharda, Assistant Professor in the department, going to talk to us about precision agriculture. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. See you in a minute.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and with us we have Dr. A.J. Sharda, Assistant Professor in the Department of Ag Engineering. And A.J., thanks for being on the show. And we're going to be talking about precision ag. So tell me, kind of give us a definition and a little short history of precision ag.
Sure, Jim. Thank you for having me over. Precision ag, from where we started all, we wanted to learn more about our fields. We want to have better information about our soils, better information about our yields from those areas, and we want to be smarter about making decisions on input use and its management.
More efficiency. Better efficiency.
Better efficiency, yeah, because better efficiency probably will drive to more profitability. That was our goal. You know, I want to have dollars and cents at the end of the year. That is what I earn. That is where I do my business.
Right.
So that was a big goal. And if you allow me, I would say that it all started around 1995, 96 when the GPS and the yield monitor starts to show up in the market. There were some early adopters about that technology who were very excited to kind of try out what those systems are and what they have to offer for their production system. So during the time period of 95, 2000, there were some early adopters looking at, what an automated guidance or a GPS in terms of giving me some idea on where I am on my field and the idea about yields can give me. So that is what I called was the first phase of some
precision
ag getting started.
The next phase.
The next phase was what I put, and I really want to give credit to Terry Griffin. We are working on some paper, but that came from that discussion. Is the second phase is 2000 to 2005, where you start to see technologies like section control, technologies which started to move from more mechanical to pneumatic control, or hydraulic system starts to show up. Now I can turn on and off my planter row units or my boom sections. I can turn on and off, and that was around the time when then some individual nozzle control was kind of around to show up. So that way I have some information on what I want to do from my yield monitors. I have some assistance on my guidance, and now I can turn things on and off based on where I want to put my input, less or more.
Okay. The next section.
The next section I put is in terms of 2005 and 2010, where people start to use variable rate technology. I can vary the rate of fertilizer, pesticide, and seeds, and so forth. And final stage, which I call now, is people are using all this information to make smart decisions on input use, management, and its application.
Okay. And so now you're talking about single rows, basically.
Right, exactly.
Turning on and off single rows, single booms, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Now we have systems where we can apply product accurately in terms of what that individual nozzle has to do, or a single planter or row unit has to do in terms of putting nutrients or chemicals or seeds from
AJ, we've got to take a break, and we've got a planter behind us we're going to start talking about when we get back.
Sure,
so
absolutely.
we've got to take a break. Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, and Dr. A.J. Sharda from Ag Engineering here at K-State is still with us. He didn't run off during the break. Thank you, A.J. You know, looking at this planter, it looks like a sci-fi planter because it's not anything like the box planters that I'm used to. So, A.J., tell us what's new in the way of planters.
Sure, Jim. So the planters of today's age are much different than what we used to have before. I would say 3 to 5, 6 years ago. The major change, or one of the significant change which has happened on the planter, is that now we have electric motors driving my seed metering units rather than mechanical or hydraulic systems with a lot of sprockets and gears and and chain drives and worm gears and so on and so forth.
Those sprockets caused a lot of baldness. People pulling their hairs out on which sprocket goes where.
Absolutely right. If you have to maintain a planter over the season, you have to take off tons of sprockets, shafts, gears, maintain them.
Corn,
exactly. Whether
beans,
it's corn or beans and all that.
Or milo.
Yep,
right.
Yep.
Okay.
So the one thing I want to point out here is that this is the heart and soul of the entire thing, which we call as there's an electric motor. Now this electric motor has has a little gearbox inbuilt in it. And there's a very important component which is called planter control module.
Planter control module.
Row control module.
Okay.
So what this does is that it gets all the information in terms of what is the instantaneous speed of this row unit. It gets what population I have to plant, and then it decide what RPM I should spin this metering plate to get my right population.
In that row.
In that particular row. So that is one of the biggest advantages of the newer planting systems that we have nowadays.
And again, it's called a row.
It's called row control module.
Row control module. Okay.
Row control module, because it is controlling how that individual row is going to behave.
Okay.
You can also have an added advantage of if it is a we can talk about something about multi-hybrid thing, but if you want to do a multi-hybrid aspect, it will have the aspect of which seed type it has to plant, and then if you have two of those units, one can switch off and other can come on if you are planting two hybrids side by side.
Oh, I see. Okay. It looks pretty simple. I mean, there's no gaskets. It seems pretty simple.
It is very simple. The only thing is, if you see here, that I have a motor, I have a shaft, and I have a seed metering plate on top of it.
Okay.
And there are a few shims on the back which make sure that the plate doesn't rub on the back. And my amperage on my motor is maintained, so it is running free and without any obstructions from behind.
And this cuts down on your singles and doubles and that sort of thing.
Yes. So this decides how much seed has to come on the box, and this portion decides how do I want to set on my singulation. Another thing I want to point when you talk about box planter, that these planters are seed on demand. There is no seed here. The seed is continuously fed into my metering unit. So now I'm maintaining a constant downforce as well. There is a constant weight on my row unit. When you have
Right. Oh, that's right. Okay. And
When
you have a
seed
full
amount-
box of seed versus
Right.
on demand.
So
We got
this is seed in demand. Yeah.
AJ, we got to take a break.
Okay.
Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. See you in a second.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Brought to you in part by the 65th Annual Eskridge Labor Day Rodeo, September 2nd and 3rd. If you love rodeo, mark your calendar right now for the 65th Annual Labor Day Rodeo in Eskridge, September 2nd and 3rd at 7 p.m. This is entertainment for your whole family, calf roping, steer mugging, barrel racing, and more. Now let's rodeo.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices. That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Dr. A.J. Sharda from Ag Engineering is with us. And A.J., we talked a little bit about the electric unit here. I noticed a lot of wires on this planter.
Right.
What are some of the other functions that we might have or see in this new style of planter?
Yes, Jim. With having these electric motors, it provides a lot of scalability and additional functionality which comes at little to no cost to the producers.
Scalability?
Scalability.
Okay.
So when I talk about scalability, means that if I want to add a functionality of contour farming or turn compensation, I only have to add a small piece of software and nothing else. Now, for example, in our older planters, when I'm turning on rows or when I'm planting along the contours, all of my row units are planting at same RPM. Means
Right.
if I'm turning on my left,
Yeah.
then there are
The outside rows planting going faster than the inside.
Yes.
Right.
So you have spaced out seeds and two tighter,
Right, higher population.
Higher population. Now, what the turn compensation feature does is that it tells each row unit its own speed, and now it can slow down and speed up the RPM of that row unit to maintain the exact spacing and population you need in the field.
Right, so the inside row is going to be planting at 28,000 or whatever, and so is the outside
So
row.
is the outside.
Okay.
Because in other cases, you might be planting the difference could be 15, 20, 30,000 population,
Right,
seed
right.
population.
Yeah.
That is one very good example on that.
Okay.
Another thing is electric seed meters have given us a functionality that we are now capable of having a multi-hybrid planting system. So when I talk about multi-hybrid means I can have two of these electric row units sitting side by side
On the same row.
on the same row,
Uh-huh.
and then I have a seed tender which have a hybrid A and hybrid B.
Uh-huh.
Now we talk about I was sending population and speed to this row control module.
Uh-huh.
I'm sending and I have another information on whether I'm planting hybrid A or hybrid B. Now when it knows that I am planting hybrid B,
Uh-huh.
this row is going to shut off,
Uh-huh.
and the other row unit is going to start up to plant the hybrid I want.
Uh-huh.
So when you talk about some of the older planter systems with mechanical or hydraulic systems, we were not able to do that kind of a thing. We would not have been able to do that kind of a thing.
AJ, thank you. We've got to take a break.
Thank you.
Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsor.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. Dr. A.J. Sharda is still with us. And A.J., we've talked about the electric motor and some of the other aspects. How about planting speed? Because I know farmers like to go fast, but they worry about dropping the right number of seeds, and we'll talk about depth later, but let's talk about speed and dropping the seed.
Okay, that's an excellent question, and something I really want to discuss with growers. Now with electric seed meters, and generally when you talk about speed, most of the people want to still plant at 5 miles per hour.
Right.
That is their sweet speed, and they don't want to go faster, and they don't want to go slower in terms of productivity and making sure they can hit the planting windows and all those days. Now with the newer systems, we wanted to check two things. One, how good these motors are in terms of spinning, maintaining RPM for a certain population. Second thing we wanted to check was how good they are in terms of singulation, because there are two different aspects to it. First thing, the motor has to maintain the RPM.
Right.
And then the metering unit has to singulate and put one seed at a time in terms of what I need.
Right.
What we did a lot of research over the last 2 or 3 years. We have a lab here, which is a Hosch Advanced Planting Systems Lab. We have some growers. We call
on-farm studies.
Yeah, with growers in and around Manhattan. And what we learn is that these electric motors are very accurate in terms of maintaining the RPM for a certain ground speed.
Okay.
So that means that if I am going at a certain speed and I want X RPMs, they are pretty dead on in terms of what RPM they want to maintain.
Okay.
Ironically, they get more and more better if they go faster.
They get more precise?
More precise. And a lot of people ask me why, is because there is better averaging going on in terms of sampling of how fast I'm going right now and what kind of a correction I have to make to maintain, to get the right RPM. The thing I want to add is that we slow down and speed up a number of times, right, in the field. Now these motors can step up to the next needed speed in less than half a second. So if you decide to go from 6 to 7.5 to 8 miles, within half a second, it will get to that RPM of the seed plate to start giving you the spacing in the right population.
AJ, we got to take a break.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
This is Eric Stonestreet, and as many of you know, I love my home state of Kansas. In March, Kansas ranchers lost homes, equipment, and thousands of cattle from the largest wildfires in the state's history. Imagine losing all you have in a fire. Not just your house, but your livelihood. Ranchers are beginning to rebuild, but it will take years and tens of millions of dollars to build back herds, fences, and other infrastructure. Today, I'm asking you to help. Donate what you can and show your support to the ranchers of Kansas. Simply go to kansasfires.com. Your donation is tax deductible and will go to those who need it the most.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except for when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. And said, well, we'll have to do surgery. I thought, I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. And I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio and gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Thanks for joining us in this last segment of That's My Farm. Dr. A.J. Sharda is with us, and you know, we've talked a lot about this planter. Last but not least is planting depth. Because I know we were talking about speed in the last section, and I know from like working with grain drills, the faster you go, they come out of the ground. It's like skiing, water skiing. The faster you go, you get out of the water. So how do you keep from planting too shallow with the higher speeds?
Excellent, excellent question, Jim. And this is one of the most exciting part of the technology as well. Now, most of the planters in the market, be it Horsch or John Deere or Kinsey or Precision Planting or Agco or Case, they have a hydraulic downforce control system. So that's what that is here. That is what is here. This is a hydraulic cylinder here, and there's a brain back in the tractor cab which decides something to do based on soil conditions. Okay. Now, what we do in a typical situation is we set our gauge wheel, load pressure here, gauge wheel loading, depending on what depth we want to plant, right? So we go a certain distance, we see whether we are at the right depth, and I see my gauge wheel has a certain load or not. Right. That was one thing. Now, what happens is that when you go in the field, the soil texture can change. Across the field. Soil texture in combination of moisture can change. Right. Which can change the requirement of the opening disc in terms of the load it needs to get to the right depth. Right, to cut through the residue, cut through the soil, down to the depth we want to drop the seed. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, when that happens, then that is a situation when that would be still right if I have the load which was the leftover load on my gauge wheels. But if I do not have enough, then I'm going to start planting shallow. Right. Right? That is not good for seed root development, or it may not crown development, right? Or it may not just emerge at all. Right. And then there may be situations where this disc does not need that kind of a loading. Okay. And all the load comes on my gauge wheels because they are trying to keep the disc not going deep. Right. Then I will have excessive sidewall compaction. And you know what happens with excessive sidewall compaction? Right, root development issues. Right. And, late emergence and all. Okay, I'll bite. So how do you keep from doing that? So now what the system does is that when I've set my planter for depth and spacing and everything, I set a certain target gauge wheel load of my gauge wheel. Right. Now, when I need a lot more here, then it's going to take off from my gauge wheel, but my system will know that, oh, I do not have the kind of target loading I need on my gauge wheels. So it will use this hydraulic cylinder to put an extra 50 pound or 20 pound or 100 pounds to get onto to my row unit. On the contrary, if this doesn't need too much and I have a lot more, then it also senses that, oh, there is too much loading on my gauge wheel, and then it offloads that weight to maintain the consistent loading on the gauge wheel, consistent depth, and then, yeah, you rightly pointed, this is my gauge wheel load sensor, which is giving me a feedback in terms of what is the instantaneous load on my gauge wheels. Okay. Wow. Wow, all right there. All right there. I'll be darned. All right there, all automatic. And some people do ask me that how quick they are.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.